Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Guy. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the CEO of Madeira Data Solutions. We specialize in the Microsoft Data Platform, and among other things, we do a lot of database monitoring, database management for our customers. So we have a lot of experience with that. We are Microsoft partners, but we are also SolarWinds partners. We have a strong partnership with SolarWinds for many years now. We chose to use specifically SQL Sentry from SolarWinds, which, in my opinion, the best tool for SQL Server monitoring. We have been using it for many, many years with many customers, lots of different environments, so we have a lot of experience with that. And today, we have a meetup together with SolarWinds to talk about database monitoring as a whole. Why it is important, how can it impact your business, how to do it right, some best practices, and so on. We have our experts from SolarWinds, Visar and Owen. I will let you guys present yourselves. If you have questions, feel free to ask them during the session. We have the chat, so we'll be monitoring the chat as well. This meetup is part of the CIO's Israeli Forum. It's not just for CIOs, it's for managers or decision makers who deal with data in general, with databases in particular. You have the link to the WhatsApp group. If you want to join the WhatsApp group of the CIO's Israeli Forum, it's in the chat right now. It will be recorded. It is recorded. So you will have the option to watch it later or send it over to other people as well. And I think that's it. Eran, anything else I forgot?
I think fantastic.
Okay.
We're just going to lead it to Owen and Visar.
Appreciate it. Thank you,
The
guys.
stage is yours.
Thank you, Guy. Thank you as well, Eran. So hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Visar. I handle the database performance monitoring business for all of Israel from the commercial aspect and the partner relationship. So we're very, very proud and very, very lucky to have a great partner in Madeira and to be able to have this conversation with you guys today to give you some information on, why it is important to manage the performance in your databases, what are some of the shortfallings and what are some of the benefits of when you do so. And then on the call, we also have our product manager, Owen. I'll leave him introduce himself and he'll be the one who will actually be presenting today, guys, and giving you the relevant information on what we do and what we do in partnership with Madeira.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Visar. So absolutely delighted to be here on today's webcast. So as previously mentioned, there's a number of different sections on this webcast. So we'll be discussing, first off, why monitoring is important for your databases. And quite often, this is actually business critical. We'll be looking at typical business challenges faced today from a lack of database performance monitoring. And then we'll wrap it up with how a database monitoring tool can help you and your business. What's nice is during this section, we will look at kind of common aspects you'd find in database monitoring tools and what you should be looking for to alleviate any issues that you might be having as a result of performance problems. So my name is Owen Murphy. I'm a staff product marketing manager here with SolarWinds. And then we also have Visar on the call. So Visar is senior account executive and he's the specialist for database in the region. Just starting off, touching briefly on the SolarWinds and Madeira partnership. So there's two slides here, just covering firstly who SolarWinds are, just in case anyone isn't familiar. So SolarWinds, we provide IT monitoring and management software. We've 17 locations worldwide. We have over 2,000 employees, over 1,600 partners. Customer net promoter score of plus 67. We're used by 96% of the Fortune 500 companies. So we do cover quite a number of areas, but a database being one of the key and often most important platforms we provide. So our approach for software is to provide simple, powerful, and secure solutions. And we see here that we do cover a number of different areas, but across the whole platform, across all the different product pillars that we support, we want to provide a unified approach for yourselves, for your customers, for anyone who's working with IT, to have tools to allow them to accelerate detection of issues, accelerate remediations, to streamline support management. And we do work with a number of different customers, ranging from C-level to platform engineering, from IT ops, DevOps, even to database administrators and professionals. So what are some common business challenges you might face without database monitoring? And the first one here is probably going to make the most sense and is going to ring the most bells for you, and that's the financial impact of both downtime and slow performance. Now, quite often downtime gets a lot of visibility because you can understand if a database or if an application is going down, that there's obviously going to be issues associated with that. But slow performance could actually be as equal a detriment to the overall impact of business performance. So when it comes to estimating the precise cost of IT downtime, it can be quite challenging. However, there are quite a number of organizations that have run extensive research in this area, and they do give some valuable insights. One research from Gartner, which is quite often cited, is the cost of downtime is estimated to be at around $5,600 per minute. And while this figure serves as a broad benchmark, it's important to note that the actual costs can vary significantly, and that's based on factors like the size and nature of the company. I mean, to put into perspective, even smaller companies can incur substantial expenses during downtime, potentially reaching up to $100,000 per hour. And for larger enterprises, they face even more substantial costs. And this can even sometimes exceed $1 million per hour when IT systems are down. Additionally, when it comes to slow time, this, while it might not be as severe as full downtime, but it can occur more frequently. It's estimated to cost about 1/5 the hourly rate of downtime, and it's noteworthy that slow time incidents tend to happen 10 times as often as full-blown downtime events. And these statistics highlight the rapid accumulation of expenses associated with both downtime and slow time. And this underscores the critical importance of promptly identifying issues, conducting root cause analysis, and of course, implementing swift resolutions that prevent measures within these organizations. Another common business challenge, of course, then going to be these performance bottlenecks. If you don't have a tool that's going to be continuously analyzing the performance and availability, usability of your systems, chances are you're not going to have a full understanding of, is it performing as efficiently as not? And bottlenecks can emerge due to several factors, including things like resource contention, inefficient SQL queries, hardware limitations, even things like network latency. And these issues can collectively create a bottleneck that hinders system performance. I mean, the impact of these performance bottlenecks can be quite significant. And when these bottlenecks occur, they often result in things like sluggish system performance. And then this can lead to decreased user satisfaction, reduced productivity among your team and customers. And of course, in some cases, potential revenue loss due to inefficient operations or transaction delays. I mean, when you identify that bottlenecks are occurring within your system, I mean, detecting these bottlenecks is a crucial step in addressing them effectively. And of course, you can employ various methods such as monitoring tools that provide real insights on overall performance, and this could range from query analytics, resource utilization, etc. Of course, when it comes to identifying bottlenecks, that's only step one. But you also then need to have approach for mitigation of these issues. And of course, there are several approaches to addressing them. It could include optimizing inefficient SQL queries to hopefully improve database performance. It could be scaling out or scaling up or scaling out to allocate more resources. It could be implementing caching mechanisms to reduce load on servers, implementing load balancing to distribute traffic across multiple different databases. There's a number of different approaches, and obviously depending on the severity of the performance, you could use one or multiple of those options. And finally, one issue then, of course, is going to be, scalability issues. You can't, increase the scale of the database performance if you do have underlying performance issues. And quite often, scalability issues, they will arise when a system struggles to effectively handle increased workloads. And this means that as your application or service grows, it may not be able to keep up with the demands effectively. Scalability issues will typically occur when systems struggle to effectively handle increased workloads, especially when your system may not be able to keep up with growing demands. Quite often, these challenges encompass a range of issues, including those performance problems. It could be increased operational costs, limitations on your organization's growth capacity, and then, of course, it can hinder your ability to meet customer expectations and adapt to challenging market demands. I mean, those are three kind of high-level common issues you will come across, but you might think to yourself, okay, maybe I'm working as a data manager or a C-level executive, and I've got a team of database administrators or data professionals, or even maybe kind of DevOps engineers that are tasked with looking after the database. And I'm going to assume that they have some level of visibility into these issues, and maybe they know the steps to typically resolve them. But the problem here is that quite often a lot of these issues will compound on top of one another. So if you do have existing database performance issues, like a database is going to provide the backbone to any IT organization. And if you're having database issues, you're also going to be having application issues. You're going to have user response time issues with the applications, etc. And if you are unable to alleviate those, chances are then this is going to lead to those scalability issues in the future. And then it's also then going to lead to potential downtime as well as the slow time. Now, when these issues compound on top of one another from a C-level and data management implication, there are three different challenges then you might face. Number one is going to be declining in your KPIs, or key performance indicators. Because of that, you might have possible penalties for broken service level agreements. And of course, if things get quite severe, you could also then have potential staff turnover as well. I mean, any number of these implications will then have a number of impacts as well as challenges for yourself or your management team. Kind of high-level challenges then might range from difficulties in meeting revenue targets. It might be reduced customer retention and loyalty, as well as erosion of market share and competitiveness. And again, this is a result then of those declining KPIs. In terms of possible broken SLAs, I mean, the impact here is that you're failing to meet SLAs due to database performance issues. That could result in contractual penalties, fines, or legal disputes. From a C-level perspective, again, you then would have your financial penalties, you have damage to your organization's reputation, as well as relationships with clients. And when this relationship is broken, it can be quite difficult to rebuild it again. And then, of course, you've got diversion of resources to manage any of those potential issues. When they keep compounding and compounding and compounding, staff morale can get quite low. I mean, I know if anybody here has worked as on call as a IT admin, a database pro, etc., getting constant calls, constant notifications, constant alerts coming through that something is going wrong. Over time, it can lead to a dip in morale. And what can quite happen as well is when you do have multiple different alerts and alarms and calls and pages coming through, it can occur that this is actually normalized. So if I have a database that's running, it's quite often giving issues with capacity or performance, or the queries aren't performing as effectively. Maybe it takes a number of minutes for a report to alert, or a report to run, sorry. After time, when you continuously get notified of that, you make the assumption that, okay, this is actually the normal expected behavior. Like no matter what I do, it's always going to have that impact. So you begin to normalize it, and then you become okay with there being a number of issues. But the problem is that over time, when you have multiple different end users complaining, morale is going to drop, and then this could potentially lead to staff turnover. Again, prolonged database performance problems can lead to frustration amongst your staff, and then this could cause skilled employees to seek other opportunities. A number of challenges here is that there's, again, costly recruitment for onboarding of replacement staff, there's loss of institutional knowledge, and then you have the negative impact of team morale and productivity. So it's not only issues that your database team and administration staff are going to have to deal with. From a management and C-level perspective, there are implications of not having adequate database performance and having your database as optimized as they should be. So how can a database monitoring tool help your business? So we understand that there's quite a number of issues, there's quite a number of implications. Starting, what does a database monitoring tool provide? There's some kind of high-level bullet points here, which most monitoring tools would give insight to. Things like real-time performance, capacity planning, detailed alerting, performance analysis, etc. And all these are going to be essential for maintaining the health and performance of the database environment. Let me just kind of talk through a number of these. So first and foremost, from a database monitoring tool, you would expect it to offer both real-time monitoring as well as historical data analysis. So you can continuously track the status of your systems, ensuring you're always prepared for what's happening at any given moment. With performance analysis, with this, you can then delve into performance metrics and identify those bottlenecks, slow queries, and any of the issues that might be affecting the system's efficiency. Capacity planning, this is going to be a valuable feature of a monitoring tool. It's going to allow you to forecast future resources, and this then is going to be based on historical data. It ensures you have prepared for growth without over-provisioning or encountering unexpected limitations. It might be something like detailed alerting to keep you informed in real time. With most monitoring tools, you can set up alerts for specific conditions or thresholds, and this will allow you to be promptly notified when something requires your attention. And of course, then scalability to grow with you. It's going to be a fundamental component, and a monitoring tool should be able to grow with your organization and accommodate an expanding database environment seamlessly. And quite often when you're looking at monitoring tools, it can be tough to get one that ticks all the boxes, and quite often there are a number of shortfalls. So when you're looking at a monitoring tool, okay, you obviously are going to have your pain points and requirements, and quite often it's aligning it with a best tool that most suits your environment. So you might have found a product that's providing performance analysis, maybe there's some capacity planning, there's an alerting engine, but there's no machine learning built into it. And quite often when you're analyzing these, you need to understand that some tools will provide these common shortfalls. One of the most critical ones is going to be a lack of data. So, sorry. This lack of data can manifest in various ways, and this includes, counter-based metrics such as CPU, I/O. Maybe there's not, in-depth query analysis. Maybe it's missing, weight types for a different query execution. If you're looking at monitoring tools, some tools and homemade solutions only capture data snapshots every few minutes, and this might be due to collection inefficiencies. And many tools will often limit, query level detail to top X queries, regardless of server activity. So at any busy time, you might log into the monitoring tool, but it's only showing you your top 5 or top 10 queries, but it might be quite busy at that time, and it might not actually give you a complete overview of what's occurring. As one example, so one product we provide, which Guy mentioned at the start, SolarWinds SQL Sentry, definitely doesn't have an issue with lack of detail. And quite often it's commented as saying there's almost too much detail. It provides a wealth of information. It it's going to stand out because it provides 10-second granularity, and it also has a lower overhead compared to most monitoring tools that offer multi-minute snapshots. Along the theme of common shortfalls, scalability is obviously going to be one which is quite critical. So when you're looking at a monitoring tool, you need it to be able to grow with your environment without the need of having, completely separate installations with no way to link them together. And most monitoring tools will have some level of limitation based around scalability. So it's important to look at your environment to understand, okay, is there 10 critical databases I'm going to start off with, or is it going to be, the 50 most important? Or maybe I need to look at the entire environment as a whole to be able to accurately gauge overall performance. So with larger enterprises, they commonly require monitoring of more servers, and this might necessitate multiple tool installations. With scalability, some products will address this by supporting multiple backend databases, but then this approach could add significant cost and administrative overhead. With SolarWinds, we do distinguish ourselves by supporting like hundreds, if not thousands, of database servers with a single SQL Server installation, and this is achieved with one product, SQL Sentry. Was developed by multiple SQL servers, Microsoft MVPs with extensive database knowledge. Because of that, they're able to optimize the database to have one single installation to scale out. It, as well as SQL Sentry, we do also then provide multiple other performance monitoring products. So with one single vendor, you do have multi-vendor monitoring tools allow you to monitor your full data estate. And when you look at the return on investment of having one vendor or one tool to scale it with you, it is going to be a lot higher than having multiple different vendors, multiple different installations, multiple databases, VMs to install on, things like that. One of the last kind of common shortfalls when it comes to DBMS is a lack of support. And this can manifest itself in actually two ways. So a lack of support can mean the different types of databases a vendor can monitor. And it then also can mean the support you receive from a vendor if something goes wrong. So we do have tools which focus on kind of one database type, like SQL Sentry supports the Microsoft Data Platform, but then we also have products which focus on like NoSQL databases, open source, as well as relational and non-relational databases. But what's important is that you need to understand your own database environment and see that, okay, am I okay with just one database being monitored, or should I be looking at a tool that supplies monitoring of multiple? And data sets can vary quite widely in complexity and size, and of course then this requires adaptable monitoring solutions. When something goes wrong, it is important to understand, am I going to receive support from the vendor, or am I going to have to take matters into my own hands? One of the kind of slides at the start was introducing SolarWinds commented on the kind of Net Promoter Score. So we do always rank quite highly based on our own end users and their happiness with our products. And it is important when you're looking at any monitoring tool, not even just SolarWinds in this example, to understand how responsive is their support team. Like if I buy a monitoring tool for whatever IT element, if something goes wrong, am I going to be limited to like email support? Can I actually call in? Am I going to have a dedicated support rep? Is there different support offerings available? Or is everything just thrown in together and I just need to hope for the best if something goes wrong? You need to understand if the support team is going to have like knowledgeable support for problem resolution, and effective monitoring tools must be complemented by accessible and responsive support to function properly. It is one of the most important aspects when looking at a monitoring tool. Now, it is quite possible that you do have monitoring in place, or maybe your database team has developed their own custom scripts to pull back information on, like performance. Maybe you're using a third-party tool or an open source tool, etc. What's important is, and I used to work as a sales engineer in the past, so like this is some of the questions I'd always ask during any evaluation and proof of concept. Like, first off, do you have a monitoring tool in place? If not, what has prevented you from looking at one in the past? If you do have one in place, these 5 questions can often give visibility into the overall usability and if it's contributing to helping you with your performance problems. Like, is it contributing to more issues than it's solving? Is it providing enough detail and the right details to help you quickly resolve and ultimately prevent issues? When something's not right, is it properly and promptly supported by live experienced engineers? Can it scale with your data's expected growth? And is it everywhere you need to be? What I mean by that is, does it allow you to monitor your on-premise workloads running in virtual machines? Is it a multi-cloud installation? Is it a hybrid environment, etc.? And if you answered no to any of the previous questions, now might be a good time to start looking at what other monitoring tools are available, and if they more align with what you're providing as an organization and what your database team would require from a monitoring solution. I mean, from a SolarWinds perspective, we do have unmatched database monitoring. With database monitoring as a whole, we do have 3 products which focus on analyzing performance. So we have Database Performance Analyzer, SQL Sentry, and our latest offering is a product called Database Observability. So 2 of these are self-hosted and self-managed. With that, you could install it in your local data center, you could install it on a cloud provider, etc. And Database Observability is a SaaS solution that we provide. Kind of high level, just differentiations between the 3 of those. So Database Performance Analyzer is our multi-vendor performance monitoring tool. It's primarily built for query performance, monitoring, analysis, and tuning. It does have machine learning capabilities. There's anomaly detection of queries. And what's quite nice is that it does have integration with other elements of the SolarWinds product portfolio. With DPA, it is used by database administrators, but what's nice is that it is open to other personas as well. So if you don't have a dedicated database team, a lot of the users of DPA would be system admins, it would be developers, application developers, etc., that just need help with understanding the impact of the query performance that they're writing, and then get some built-in advisors to help them to tune it without having the extensive 10 years of being a DBA. The SQL Sentry is our product for monitoring the Microsoft data platform, and that of course includes SQL Server, analysis services, Azure SQL, Azure Synapse, SQL Pool, etc. And this allows you to deep dive into the overall performance of these technologies and get full visibility across the entire data platform. And finally, Database Observability. This is our SaaS offering. And then this monitors open source, cloud enabled, and NoSQL databases. I won't spend too much time discussing these further. We do have a separate webcast that'll be running next week where there'll actually be a live product demonstration of each. And for that, it will be a great webcast to invite your database team or anybody that's working with databases in the environment onto the webcast. They can see the products live in action and understand if they would be a benefit for your organization. But when you look at the SolarWinds product portfolio, obviously our main aim is to eliminate database performance problems. And we've seen some performance problems in the past, but what your DBAs or data pros are most likely going to be having issues with on a day-to-day basis is like finding the root cause of these performance problems. It might be troubleshooting problems with the operating system and virtual environment, which can often be time-consuming and frustrating. It might be an issue with keeping database systems running smoothly, and this can provide a constant headache. And quite often, SQL query tuning can be quite tedious. But our aim is to eliminate these performance problems with each of the products we provide. How we do that, so we've got intuitive dashboards, which are going to pull the relevant metrics to quickly find and fix these issues. We have actionable information, not only about the SQL Server or the database, but we then also can pair that with things like VMware, Windows, Hyper-V metrics to achieve these breakthrough performance barriers. When it comes to query tuning, we do have integrations with things like Plan Explorer, which would provide an execution diagram which allows a full understanding of costly operators. And then we also do have query level weight stats, which would provide insights needed to identify resource heavy queries and focus on those tuning efforts. Now, well, I understand that quite a lot of people on the call would be primarily focused on the Microsoft Data Platform. With the solutions we provide, they do have monitoring of more than 30 plus cloud and on-premise database platforms. So we do have SQL Server support across the 3 performance monitoring tools. We do have Azure SQL support across all 3. But when you then look at things like managed instance or analysis services or SQL Server running on RDS or Google Cloud, this is then where we begin to position what is most relevant. We do see SQL Sentry does have support for quite a number of data platform technologies, but when it comes to things like Oracle or MySQL or Postgres or MongoDB, if you do have any of those running as a result of an application requirement, we do have tools that allow us to monitor those alongside your SQL Server installations. And across all the different products that we provide on the database pillar, we do use a MDO framework. So MDO is monitor, diagnose, and optimize. And this then, when implemented, allows you to evolve from reactive database firefighting mode to a proactive management of your data system environment. And with this, it allows us to help save time and eliminate many of the management headaches that DBAs would typically face on a daily basis. We see that within that MDO framework that there is a number of different steps. Moving from a reactive to a proactive stance, it's not an overnight approach, but when you do have monitoring tools to help you along your journey, you see then you can break it up into a number of different steps. Like step 1 is going to be getting visibility into the environment and the performance that we're looking to keep track of. Once we have that visibility, then we can analyze the performance. We can create baselines, understand what is typical for your environment, where we can pick up some easy wins. Once we have an understanding of the database performance, we can then look to correlate information from multiple different layers. And I might be looking at the virtual environment, might be looking at analysis services. You might be diving further into the query analysis, and from that looking at tuning opportunities. From that, we expand further and understand what are the business requirements for your environment. And once we understand, we can then move into that optimize framework where we look to enhance the overall usability and optimization of the databases. Hopefully, this has made sense up to this point. And while we did touch briefly on some of the products at a high level, like DPA, SQL Sentry, and database observability, we do have a separate webcast that'll be run next week, and it'll be led by one of our solution engineers, Richard Burke. And from that, he's actually going to do a product deep dive into both SQL Sentry and DPA. So if you do have any database professionals, database admins that you feel might be might benefit from taking part in that session, we'll drop a link into the chat window and you can forward it on to the team. If you do want to set up any, one-on-one product demonstrations afterwards, SolarWinds will always be open to running those. We can work around your schedule, get the session booked in, understand your pain points and requirements, and then from that, tailor a custom demonstration to you. And after that, if any of the products are of interest, they do all run as fully functional trials. Hopefully that made sense. There was quite a lot to take in. We went from understanding the need of database monitoring, what were the common business challenges, so the financial impact, performance bottlenecks, scalability issues, and all of those, from those, the implications for C-level executives and database managers. We looked at what you should be looking for from a database monitoring tool and some of the common shortfalls. Looked at how SolarWinds could help with multiple different products that cover different database technologies, but across the board, implementing that monitor, diagnose, and optimize framework. If there are any questions, I think the Q&A box is open. More than happy to answer any. And of course, we will then drop a link into the chat window for that second webcast, which will be running next week.
Thank you, Owen. And just before we pass it across to the Q&A, guys, just to kind of add a little bit of, I suppose, further clarity on kind of a business-to-business day, kind of what I see when you're looking at the different products that we provide. To give you a really, really simple kind of explanation or clarity, if you have a Microsoft data state environment where you've got SQL Server, MySQL, whatever you have SQL related, and you would like somebody to provide you that as a service, manage that for you, provide you the care you need, the additional reporting and everything from A to Z, then Madeira is your team. Madeira is your partner who can provide that service. They can go into more detail. And again, next week when we do the technical demonstration, Atan from the Madeira team will showcase how and what they do from that side of things, right? If you don't have a SQL environment, or you do, but maybe you've got a mixture of SQL Server, Oracle Enterprise, Postgres, MariaDB, you've got multiple different products, multiple different databases, then DPA or Database Performance Analyzer is the product that's a fit for you. So just to give you that little small differentiator of how you would differentiate which product is for you, if you've got a SQL environment, then it should be probably Madeira and SQL Sentry. If you've got anything else or multiple different environments from Oracle and so on, then you're probably looking at DPA, which can manage multiple databases in one unified dashboard. So yeah, as Owen said on that, if you guys would like to have a conversation, have a personal one-on-one discussion, demo, trial, anything like that, just let us know. But again, you can see here Owen is sharing a couple of different things on the screen. But we would like to pause for a while and see if you guys have any questions that would be welcome. So feel free to go off mute and fire away.
I'd like to add, Owen mentioned the importance of being proactive versus reactive.
Mm.
And I'd like to share from our experience in Madeira. We have a solution where we monitor and manage basically customers' platforms, SQL Server state, for dozens of different environments. And it's really important for us to be proactive, to be able to do root cause analysis. If we encounter a kind of a failure that we haven't encountered before, something new. So of course, first of all, we need to solve it as fast as possible, but we also want to be able to understand why it happened, what caused it, and how we can prevent it from happening again. It's super important. Once we understand that, we can add a new alert to the system. So the next time something like that happens, we will know it in advance. We will be able to solve it even before it has the business impact. And for us, it's even more important because, again, we manage many, many environments. So once we encounter a failure in one environment, we can then apply the solution or the new alert to all of our customer environments. And I see customers, when we work in customers, I see some customers, then they are only reactive. If something happens, they solve the problem, they move on because they don't have time, and then it happens again and again and again and again. And they waste a lot of time and money solving the same problem instead of finding a solution, the root cause solution to that, so it doesn't happen again. It's very, very important.
Yeah, I can add to that, Guy. Every day when we're speaking to companies, every company, everything has a database. You could be a church, or you could be a school, or you could be a business. Everything has a database. So when it comes to that proactive side, we always hear, two things. It might be downtime, or it might be user experience, and those two things are typically always affected if you're not proactively monitoring the performance, because it's going to result in downtime. Or you trying to identify what happened, where it happened, maybe outsource that, or have your DBA team try and find that, and that's then causing downtime and affecting the user experience. So if you're a financial institution, it might be affecting your own team, but it might also be affecting your users who use that application for their banking or so on. So yeah, I can definitely relate to that in conversations that we have.
Guys, if there's no other questions from your side, I just wanted to remind you that next week we're going to have another webinar, which will be more technical on SQL Sentry and on DPA. We just added this specific webinar so that you can register, all right? And we're waiting for you guys. If you want to add also your data team to this webinar, we highly recommend that.
Yeah, agreed. That'll give you a chance to actually see the products, guys. So it won't be as text heavy or us just talking. You'll get a visual of what the product looks like and what it does next week of both products. But any questions from anybody? Anybody here would like to ask something? Yeah.
Nahum, yeah.
Hi, thank you, Eitan. Might be this question is out of scope for this webinar, so just let me know. I want to touch base with something you mentioned at the beginning of the webinar. You said that the DPA, the database performance analyzer, includes also intelligence anomaly detection. So can we use that as also for security reasons, like alerting if some kind of user trying to do something which is not normal for this kind of user, or this is another tool or another webinar?
I can jump in there. So the anomaly detection in DPA, how that works is it's based on the query execution time. So it look at, let's just say, for example, one query is executed 1,000 times on Tuesday, and the wait time associated with that was 6 hours. But then the following day, it was also executed 1,000 times, and then the wait time, it jumped up to 12 hours. It's going to look at the difference between what we determine is the expected wait time, and we will base that on historical data of like the query executions, the wait time per execution, etc. And they look at the delta between the expected wait time and the actual wait time. So it's more associated with, is there issues with query performance, be it an increase or a decrease in expected wait time. It doesn't really take security aspects into account.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep. No worries, that was a great question. If anybody else has any questions, feel free to unmute. You can use the chat window, etc.
Looks like we don't have any questions.
Guy, if you don't mind, maybe I'll ask a question, guys. I'm just curious to understand, and you can maybe raise your hand up or a thumbs up or whatever in terms of responding. From the people that are on this call from multiple different companies, do you guys use any performance monitoring tools, or do you do most of it maybe in-house with some of the free? So for example, if you've got Oracle, you might use Oracle's OEM or do some scripts or some open source solution. But I'm just curious to understand from the people that are on this call, are many of you using anything or kind of doing the DIY part of it?
Aviad, that's a question for you. I know I talked to Bim about that.
Yeah, it's a hard one when you got 30 people on the call, I think, to get a clear response. But you can see Michael, it says DIY and so on. So just kind of curious to understand. But But yeah, over to you, Guy. If we don't have any other questions, guys, you know, we can leave it at that. But please, again, do not forget to join us next week. On Wednesday, we will be showing you the actual technical demo of the product, so it might be more of an interest from all of you techies that are on this call.
Owen and Visa, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
You're more
Thank
than
you very,
welcome.
very much.
Thank
See
you
you
all.
next week.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.